I've been playing a Lightning Strike Javazon on hardcore solo self-found, and it's time for me to make an Infinity. The problem is that Infinity takes 2 entire burr runes to make, which is a serious bastard to get without trading. Arcane Sanctuary is apparently the place to go for high rune farming. I must confess, I've never farmed Arcane Sanctuary in any serious capacity before. Some people swear by it, but I always wondered, were those people just lucky, or is it a truly special place? Is Arcane Sanctuary actually good? I rolled a Chain Lightning Sorceress just for the occasion. My plan was to teleport around the entire map, focus mainly on ghosts and opening chests. I also killed boss packs here and there because there are some items I still need, but the ghosts are the real stars here. My gear was literally whatever I could put on from the shared stash. It changes drastically throughout the run, and in fact, it's about to change right now. Bastard game bricked my Shaco. I was really hoping this place was something actually special because I locked myself to the area until I could farm an Infinity from scratch, and I do mean from scratch. It's time to do the thing. On just run number 3, I was already off to a strong start when a Sir rune dropped. I already had half a burr rune barely 20 minutes after hitting the record button. I was getting optimistic. I started thinking this video was going to end up being like 3 minutes long. I already had a couple of high runes left over from my previous map runs on the Amazon, which is great and all, but I did say I was farming an Infinity from scratch, and I did mean from scratch, which means these high runes were absolutely invalid. I set them aside to make room for the valid drops. Now, I just needed to find 3 entire Sir runes just to finish the run. Casual Lem rune on run 20. It might be small, but these little runes may or may not have a role to play later on. On run 26, I dropped the first unique ring of the run. Unique rings are legally required to be mantled 90% of the time, but this ended up being a Bull Kothos ring. With plus skills, life, and some leech, this ring would actually be perfect for the Amazon. That is, if the ring doesn't violently explode in the Satan Cube. It's slammed for plus 6 to all attributes, and honestly, I'm just glad this bastard game spared the ring with plus skills on it. And look, see, the Amazon is still alive. She hasn't died screaming in pain just yet. I wanted to switch out my extremely unslammed Stone of Jordan for that Bull Kothos. I don't trust this bastard game enough to not brick my SoJ, and I just wanted to transfer it to my sorceress safely. Alright, I'll slam the SoJ. Okay, it gave me an 8 dexterity slam, but it did survive, and I'm grateful for it. I still don't trust this game, though. Pull rune on run 31. Just need 30 billion more of those until I can make Infinity. I've been finding uniques here and there and also a puzzle piece, but things were pretty dry otherwise. A Jaw rune had shattered that dry spell on run 39. It's a real treat when the loot filter explodes your screen with a giant text box that says Jaw. It's really satisfying. Now let me downgrade it into a burr rune, please. Please? Come on, man, don't do this to me. You're so close to rolling a burr rune, but you're only slightly off. Come on, man, I'll scratch your back for it. On run 46, Larzik's puzzle box dropped. This is the second one I've ever found this season, and hopefully this won't be the one that gives me the minimum roll whenever I use it. The run was very close to ending on run 67 because I managed to drop a Cham rune, which is a glorious thing to see. Finding the really high runes is a genuinely good feeling. Now turn into a burr rune. I command it. Just one burr rune. Come on, man, please, just one burr rune. Just a few runs later, on run 71, I somehow managed to pop a low rune out of a chest, barely 30 minutes after I found that Cham rune. Let's just say I was feeling slightly optimistic about getting that Infinity sooner rather than later. Also, the more high runes I was finding, the dumber I started to feel, because I always just went straight to Hell Cows or Chaos Sanctuary and then onto maps. I don't know, how was I supposed to know some random Act 2 area would end up being the most busted farm for high runes? A random goat man gave me a quick rune on run 76. Run 77 gave me yet another unique ring. This one ended up being a Ravenfrost. It went straight into the box just so I could rearrange it into a bricked ring, but it actually gave me 3 to life after each kill. Oh, and I guess some random low rune dropped or something like that. It's not a big deal, just another high rune. Just a absolutely completely normal evening in Arcane Sanctuary. But seriously, that low rune marked a significant milestone for the run. Since I had 2 low runes, I immediately queued them up into my second Sir rune. Then I queued both of my Sir runes up into my very first burr rune. I was now exactly at the halfway point. I already had some of the most valuable high runes in my stash, all of which were entirely self-found. I could have made an Enigma, but it wasn't my goal for the video. However, I did feel pretty good finding an entire Enigma in just 77 runs. On the 78th run, I identified a Grand Charm that ended up being a Pally Combat Skiller. with 37 life. I had found a handful of skillers at this point, but they were all planes. Man, what if lightning spells counted as paladin combat skills through some bizarre technicality? That would have been cool. Run 83 gave me another skiller with a huge amount of life on it, and, well, it was actually a barb combat skiller with 38 life. It was slightly painful, but I still think it's neat finding skillers with a bunch of life on it. Copium? No, 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 no. I'm definitely not huffing the copium. I've never even heard of copium before in my life. Just don't search my vehicle. Also, the summoner dropped a unique amulet on the same exact run. This one ended up being a Seraph's Hymn, which is not Amara's, and I immediately slammed it for +7 to all attributes. Another unique ring dropped for run 92. This one was a Ravenfrost, which is Ravenfrost number 2000 for me. It slammed for a small amount of poison resistance. Run 93 blessed me with yet another unique ring, but actually it ended up being a mantled heal ring, the first one of the run. I slammed it for absolutely no reason in particular, and it got 12 poison res. For run 95, I got another unique ring. Imagine getting excited over a unique ring, only to find out that it's another mantled. A pattern was beginning to emerge. And again, on run 96, I got yet another unique ring. This one ended up being a Dwarf Star, so it went straight into the slamming box and it bricked into a rare with 3% damage reduction, and I totally forgot that was a slam you could even get on a ring. Random chest on run 107 gave me a Limb Rune, only 2 billion more of those to go until I can make the next Burr Rune. On run 112, a unique pair of Vambraces dropped. This is, of course, Soul Drainers, with the absolute minimum roll on the leech, but thankfully the minus fizz is static. Extremely useful gloves that would be even better with Deadly Strike, and it bricked. Nobody is ever going to believe me, but I managed to find yet another unique ring on run 115. This was Carrion Wind, a neat little ring that ended up dying into the void after I bricked it. Pole Rune dropped on number 116. I ended up cubing my 2 valid Pole Runes into an Unrune, and cubed it with the other Unrune into a Mal Rune. I hadn't found a Mal yet, and didn't want to be stuck looking for a stupid Mal in case I found a second Burr Rune. Another Limb Rune dropped on run number 118, only 900 million more of these to go. On run number 119, the bastard video game was suddenly sympathetic to my cause. A 4-socket Ethereal Thresher dropped, and while it wasn't a man catcher, I was still happy to have it. I didn't even have an Infinity base up until this point. Run number 126 gave me yet another Limb Rune. Other than that, things were starting to dry up a bit. It was at about this point that I realized that my RNG might be starting to average out. On run number 131, I dropped a unique pair of mesh boots. These were silk weaves, which was nice because it had exactly all the stats I could ever ask for on an energy shield sorceress. Then, I dropped a unique Grim Shield on run number 134, right after my mercenary assaulted a goat man. This was a lidless wall that unfortunately rolled +1 on the skills. I was able to smash 2 sockets into it, which was great and all, but I would end up making a 31 Splendor Shield just to reach a breakpoint on Chain Lightning. I was still on a unique wave on run 138 when a unique Grim Helm dropped. This was the very classic Vampire Gaze, which rolled an extremely perfect 25% on the damage reduction, and then it slammed for exactly 1 trillion enhanced defense. I also persuaded the video game to drop an Istrun for me on that same run. This was nice, because now the Istrun part of Infinity was covered. Treasure does not always come from stabbing a demon in the face. On run number 140, I popped a Vex Rune out of a chest. I was inching ever so slightly closer to Infinity. Run number 141 had given me my 50th set amulet of the run, and it ended up being a Tal's amulet. This was the first non-Sivrobs and non-Cathan set amulet I found. I sacrificed a goat to the slamming gods and I was given +6 to all attributes, a slight upgrade over my other Tals. No drops were found on run number 145, but this was when I noticed something was horribly wrong. After so many runs, Arcane Sanctuary had not been selected to be a corrupted zone the entire time. And in fact, I was getting 0 corrupted zones. I was sure something was wrong. Some horrible bug was affecting the game, preventing it from spawning corrupted zones. But, well, actually, you see, the way you get corrupted zones is you have to beat the game, and I hadn't beaten the game because I was doing Arcane Sanctuary the whole time. And yes, I really was that stupid. But I was well into my 80s, and I was wearing some pretty good gear. I took a quick detour to beat the game. I immediately killed Hellbale, and he dropped absolutely nothing, but now I was a Guardian. A Guardian of what? I couldn't tell you, but now I was getting corrupted zones. Limb Rune on run number 152 might actually end up getting a burr from these Limb Runes. On run number 156, a singular ghost dropped a nice Skull Rune for me. Then on run 157, one of the goat people dropped a nice Larzik's puzzle box. I'm sure this belonged to Larzik at one point, but if he wants it back, he's gonna have to give me an ohm rune for it. The goat people of Arcane Sanctuary generously died in order to drop a low rune on run 160. My highest runes available for Infinity was Burr and Low now. I felt very close to making it, I just had to get lucky on a couple more drops. But the thing with high runes is that they're high runes, and I still had quite a bit of grinding left ahead of me. On run 161, I got another unique ring to drop. It could have been anything, but it could also be a Nagel ring with 32 magic find. They roll as high as 40 in Project Diablo 2. On run number 175, I dropped my very first Mal rune of the entire run. I had 2 total, but the first one had to be cubed up. And just to point this out, I found, let's see here, let me check my list. Sir, Jaw, Cham, Low, Vex, Low, before finding a singular Mal. I mean, RNG, what else is there to say? Limb rune drop for run number 180. I was in another dry spell for a little while, however, this Mal rune I found on run 192 broke that up a bit. Run number 196 gave me yet another limb rune. It was clear to me now that this malicious video game that's all about killing Satan was going to make me crawl to my last Burr rune. Shortly after that, a unique Grim Shield popped out of a chest. It was yet another +1 lidless wall, because oppressive RNG mechanics prevent me from finding a +2. It slammed for some extra random block stuff. I've found several amulets since my last Tals. This said amulet in particular would be yet another Tals Ammy. I mashed it together with the World Stone Shard, and it gave me +8 to all attributes, a slighter upgrade to the Tals I was wearing. On run 202, it was time for me to get hyped up over this unique ring. Except it was a Nagel ring, an offensively bad Nagel ring too. The video game told me to pull on these nuts after a pole rune dropped on run 210. On run number 221, I killed a dead ghost and it gave me a goal rune. This was my second goal, which is effectively a Vex rune. Limb rune for run number 225. Unique ring dropped on run 226. Just don't be a mantled. Don't you dare be a mantled. You've done it to me 50 times already. That's the legal limit. Damn it, the game scummed me out again. 12 fire res for the slam. Run 242 gave me a unique amulet for a change. Tragedy struck when it identified as a Mahim Oak. I was definitely in an RNG slump for the late 100s through the mid 200s. My luck was for sure averaging out from the amazing drops earlier on. In exactly the same run, some unique Scarab Shell boots dropped. These were Sandstorm Treks, some possible boots to wear for a potential Rothma fight. They slammed for a small amount of replenished life. Run 247 gave me yet another unique amulet. This one ended up being the Cat's Eye, a pretty solid amulet that I like a lot. I tried bricking it, but it gave me 11 energy instead. That's more energy I can put towards bricking other items. One more pole rune on run 253. An unidentified mantled heal ring dropped on run 254. It identified as an unidentified mantled heal ring. Then it slammed for 17 magic find, making it a fusion of both mantled and Nagel. On run 255, another unique ring dropped. In a world of infinite possibilities, this was another fucking mantled. Game, please, I'm begging you. There is a happy ending to this, however, because that mantled bricked into a dual leech ring. At last, I have drawn blood from the mantled curse. Surprise, surprise, I found yet another unique ring on run 260. It ended up being a Dwarf Star, which is not a mantled, and I deeply appreciated it. And then, it exploded violently after slamming it. Another pull rune drop on run 264, which made me immediately leave the summoner after seriously injuring him with electricity. Sometimes I killed the summoner, sometimes I didn't. He has a lot of HP. On run 268, the RNG curse was broken when an Ohm rune dropped. And I just love the noise Kryzard's loot filter makes when a high rune drops. My brain immediately knows the drops are good when I hear that noise. I had enough runes to cube all the way up to a Sur rune, which meant that I was at 75% completion at this point. A lucky Sur rune would propel me straight to my goal. I still prayed for a Burr rune to drop, however, because I very much would like to keep all my other high runes for, like other things. Run 275 gave me another Mal rune. These little bastards are really starting to add up. On run 280, I managed to steal an Ist rune out of a super chest. Thievery is completely okay as long as you're stealing from demons that want to feast on your insides. On run 281, my brain was very happy to see this unique mesh armor. This is Shaftstop, of course, and it rolled 113 on the life and 25% on the damage reduction. stuffed it straight into the cube of death, and it slammed for 6 PDR. Shaftstop is an absolute pleasure to find on hardcore, and it's my second one ever. Also, they're like weirdly hard to find. I'm just happy to have a spare. Then on run 283, I found a unique ring, and I didn't trust it at all. It ended up being a Nagel ring with 39% magic find. I actually thought about keeping this one. I even ended up slamming it for 10% FCR, and I was actually okay with that. Save it for a new character maybe. On run 285, I managed to get a Talisman of Transgression, one of the materials needed for Lucian. This was my very first talisman, so this was a pretty nice find for me. I do plan on dying horribly to Lucian someday. Quick side note, I had found about 2 or 3 Trangul's jawbone at this point as well. I just haven't really shown them off. But Arcane seems to be a decent enough place to get that. On run 286, I found another bastard unique ring. All these things do is break your heart. Except this was a Stone of Jordan. +1 to all skills and, well, it's an SoJ, you know what this thing is. You're going straight into the spooky box. Oh, hey, it survived. With +6 to all resistance. Not bad. I like that. Remember those runes I set aside at the beginning of the video? These were the invalid runes, the ones that weren't found inside of Arcane Sanctuary. My intention was to farm Infinity from scratch, but if I didn't hate myself, I would have been able to make Infinity right now. It was just something fun to think about, that's all. You know, just a little fun. On run 289, I found another unique amulet. This time, it was a crescent moon, and I have no idea what to even think of this amulet. It slammed for 39% enhanced damage because, of course, it did. Run 292 was something special because I dropped a unique ring and another unique ring. There's good news and bad news about this. The good news is that both of them can't be mantled heal ring because this one ended up being a Dwarf Star. The bad news is that one of them was mantled heal. And that little turd hugger managed to get a 3% damage reduction slam. Dwarf Star got 15 fire res for its slam. Quick Mal rune for run exactly 300. Chest Lem rune for run 307. Run 308 saw another unique amulet drop. This was a good old Rising Sun, rolling 2 to fire, -6 on the fire pierce, and exactly 0% hit recovery. Then it got 10% hit recovery on the slam. Run 309 saw yet another unique ring drop, except it was a Nagel, which is not an SoJ, so I immediately moved on. On run 314, I got another gold rune to drop. My fingers were still crossed for that one lucky drop to come, but the gold rune was definitely appreciated. On run 320, I got a unique winged helm to drop. This was, of course, Valkyrie Wing, and it rolled +2 on the skills and 50% enhanced damage. The damage was a little unfortunate, so it went straight into the Wisdom Cube. It slammed for an extra 30 faster hit recovery, giving it an absurd amount of FHR for a single piece of gear. On run 328, another unique mesh armor dropped. This was Shaftstop, of course, but actually, this is a lie, because this World Stone shard revealed that it was a rare this entire time. I couldn't believe it either. Lem rune number 1 billion dropped for run 330. One of the Ghost Boss packs on run 372 gave me a nifty little unique Kraken shell. This was Leviathan, and it rolled 42 on the strength and 24% on the DR, one off from perfect. It's time for me to ruin it. I slammed it, and now it made the wearer incapable of being frozen. I might use that one day, I don't know. Another Mal rune for run 377. And then a unique ring on that same run, except it was a bastard mantled heal. I quickly meme slammed it for unlimited attack rating. I never would have expected to get a unique mesh armor for some random chest on run 385. This was Shaftstop, of course, except it bricked into an offensively bad rare. Pole rune on run 386. If you ever needed pole runes, mal runes, unique rings, and Shaftstops, Arcane is definitely the place to be. Arcane is also the place to be for unique amulets. Run 387 was generous to me this time because this was a High Lord's Wrath. And you already know this little bastard bricked. The 300s have been complete and total chaos for me. But something magical happened on run 388. An Ohm rune dropped, the first high rune after what felt like an eternity. I double-checked my stash and I was still short on that Infinity. I still needed that one bastard lucky drop to get me where I needed to be, but I was agonizingly close. Arcane Sanctuary was basically seared into my mind at this point, but it's time for the grind to continue. How many pole runes does it take to screw in a light bulb? I'm sorry, I've been doing Arcane for so long now that I'm starting to lose my sanity. I just know right around the corner, there's a burr rune waiting for me, but every time I get to the corner, the burr rune is gone. There's a burr rune in every corner, it's just a matter of catching it. Run 394 gave me an ist rune from a chest. I was now in the 400s, and a unique amulet kicked things off on run 404. It ended up being the Eye of Eli Whitney. I already had one ready to use on a new character, so I tossed it. But then, I came back and meme slammed it for some poison res. Then, on run 421, a unique Vampire Fang belt dropped. This was Nosferatu's Coil, of course, an insanely useful belt with 20 IES, Deadly Strike, and it even slows the target. Also, it bricked horribly, so I would need to run 421 more runs if I ever wanted Nos back. Limrune on run 431. Oh god, what if I did make a burr rune out of Limrunes? Has anyone ever done that before? Run 435 gave me yet another unique amulet. It ended up being a Crescent Moon, the second one I found. For all of its stats, I thought it was weird it didn't have FHR on it, so I slammed it for 10 FHR. One of the super chests popped out a Malrune on run 437. Even with the loot filter, it was a real process to try and track it down. It's just the game taunting me, nothing unusual here. High runes are kind of funny. There's no sign or pattern that tells you when a high rune is about to drop. Magic Find doesn't affect their drops, and there's no rune finding stat. They either drop or they don't drop, and that's all there is to it. Run 439 gave me a low rune, just like that. I froze for a minute because I wasn't entirely sure if this was it or not. If this wasn't already the final rune I needed, then I would be excruciatingly close. I went into my stash to do some serious high rune mathematics. Before anything could happen, I needed to remove some of my invalid mid runes that I had forgotten to remove at the beginning of the video. Thankfully, I did have a shot of my stash before starting the runs. I set out to farm an infinity from scratch, meaning I would only use the runes I found in Arcane Sanctuary. The runes had been pulled, and now I had my valid runes set aside for the calculation. This took me way longer to calculate than I would like to admit. It's honestly incredible how stupid I've become since failing college all those years ago, but I had it. I would be able to make my second burr rune from scratch with all these high runes. The bad news is that I was about to massacre my entire stash of high runes to make that second burr rune. Only the Jaw and Sham would be spared, but ultimately, I needed to see how many runs it would take to get that infinity from start to finish, and I needed to actually have it made. There's 3 reasons for this. 1 was for documentation. 2 was because I was absolutely sick to death of doing Arcane Sanctuary, and 3, I was absolutely sick to death of not having infinity on my Lightning Strike Amazon. Would I recommend any human being do what I'm about to do right now? No, absolutely not. Don't do this, ever. But the beauty of solo self-found is that there's no real consequence to throwing away multiple high runes for a singular burr rune. And, well, I mean, there is a consequence, but, like, I mean, what am I going to do? Trade for a high rune? I'm solo self-found. Burr Mal Burr Ist was here. I transferred everything to the Amazon, and now I had a choice to make. I had a choice between making Infinity and a +3 Matriarchal Spear, or go for the tried and true Ethereal Thresher for the Mercenary. For pure damage, the Spear is definitely the best choice. But there was a big problem. See, I'm playing hardcore. Using the Spear means I lose a 3-socketed Storm Shield. I didn't have a Crown of Ages, and I actually bricked my only for Dungos while recording for the Ubers video. And we all know those quill rats are armed with 50 caliber BMG sniper rifles. They will pop my head instantaneously. The cost was simply too great. I went with the Thresher. It rolled -53 on the Lightning Pierce, and I would benefit from exactly 0 of it. But there was Conviction Aura, and that alone was going to make maps an absolute breeze for me. If I find another Infinity in maps, I'll make it in the Spear. I'm really not going to sweat over it in hardcore, honestly. The total kills for the sorceress was 240,000 and some change, the majority coming from Arcane, but some of that was just playing through the game and leveling in Nightmare. So yeah, this was the first time I've given Arcane Sanctuary a fair chance. Yes, rune drops are totally RNG based, they either drop or they don't, but the ghosts in Arcane Sanctuary can't drop weapons or armor unless they're a boss, so the RNG definitely favors rune drops. A lot of you already knew how good Arcane was, but for those that were just curious and thinking about giving Arcane a shot, now you have this video to use as a reference. It's still going to be a decent grind to get that Infinity or Enigma or whatever you might be after, but I think the Ghost will get you where you want to be after a while. Thank you all so much for watching the video, and if you enjoyed what you saw here, do consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. It helps a lot. This video did take a while to make, but I hope to have more content out sooner rather than later. I sincerely appreciate the support, and I will see you all on the next one. Stay safe.